Hey, what's going on? It's Joe Teel, and this is another episode of Wow I Just Learned. And today you are in for a treat or an existential crisis. One of the two. We are talking about existence theories. Now, keep in mind, these are just theories and not my specific beliefs, but just fun things to think about of what reality is, how did it come about. Here's 3 theories that could explain what's going on here. Let's get into it. The first theory today is the simulation theory. It is a hypothesis that reality as we know it is actually an advanced simulation. Something like a highly advanced computer program, or maybe something like VR, virtual reality, at a scale we've never even dreamed of. This theory claims that what we call our physical universe is actually digital. I think a lot of us were first introduced to this idea through the movie The Matrix, where Neo figures out that he's actually in a simulation. He's actually in the Matrix. He's not in the real world. Everything he thought was reality was actually just a simulated world that he was in. After The Matrix, I didn't think about this for a long time until a man named Rizwan Vert came on Joe Rogan, and I listened to him talk for 3.5 hours, and it was very interesting what he brought to the table. Vert himself is a video game designer, a tech guru, entrepreneur, all that. Once he started building these games that had entire worlds built into them, that's when he started to see the similarities of the games he was building and the reality that he was living in. Vert draws parallels between our reality and advanced video games, proposing that as technology advances, we are approaching the ability to create virtual realities indistinguishable from our base reality. Concepts like NPCs, non-playable characters. If you played any games that have an open world, then you know you're going to run into some characters that are just a part of the game. They're just a part of that simulation. Have you ever been in a crowd of people and ever had the thought and say, hey, I wonder if I'm the only one really here right now? That may be a wild thought. I've had it before. He also describes our trajectory when it comes to technologies actually leading us to a place where we could create our own simulations where the stuff in the simulation would not be able to tell that it was in a simulation. I once had this idea when I was talking to somebody on a podcast. We were talking about the simulation theory, and I asked him, I said, what would you call a guy that makes video games? He was like, well, video game designer. I was like, all right, what if that video game designer made a video game so good in a world that seems so real, and that the video game was so advanced that the person in the video game then could pick what he wanted to do with himself in this video game. And then let's say that person in this video game decided what they wanted to do with their video game life was to create video games. And then he created a video game so good that the person inside could pick that, and then so on and so forth. Would the people know in the game that they were actually a part of the game and not what someone would call base reality? How could you tell what base reality is? That's the problem with this stuff. It turns into inception. It turns into, we don't really know what's going on. It's like a rabbit hole that can open up into more rabbit holes. Have you ever looked into a mirror in front of you and a mirror behind you? My grandma's bathroom has this. There's one here and one here, and you just go forever into the abyss. There you have it. He's basically claiming that the trajectory of technology is going to get to a point where we can do things like that. We could build a video game that is so advanced, and that the people built into the video game were so advanced that they wouldn't even know they're in a video game. It's Neo, it's the Matrix. Things like AI, virtual technology. These things all kind of seem like they could lead to something simulation-like. And then there's the quantum stuff. I'm not sure I'm really smart enough to speak on that. Schrodinger's cat and all that stuff. Things act a certain way when they're observed and when they're not observed. Not sure I'm smart enough to really explain that, so I won't go too deep into that. Just know it's a factor into the thinking behind people that are thinking that this might be a simulation. There could be quantum elements to it. So then we get to the question, if this is a simulation, who created the simulation? Now that we do not know. How could we know? Could it be God? God could create us in video game form, I think. Maybe an advanced civilization could create us. We could be an experiment on these deals. You could what if to death, really. We go off our senses, touch, feel, sight, hear, smell. It's hard to take those 5 senses and turn that into explanations of the universe. You know what I'm saying? It's a struggle. You take this brain we have with limitations, and you try to work out these insanely complex things, and sometimes it doesn't pan out. Are we in a simulation? I don't know. How could we know? Why? Why are we in a simulation? I don't know. Who made the simulation? I don't know. It is just something fun to think about. If we're in a simulation, can we get out? Is there a situation like with Neo? Can we escape the Matrix and then do what we're supposed to do? I don't know. And then there's another question. If you escape the Matrix, does that lead to another Matrix? Because there's also these other thoughts like, if I'm in a simulation, do I have free will? Is somebody controlling me with like a controller? Who around me as an NPC? Like I went to a hockey game the other day and there was thousands of people in the stands. How many of those people were actually real people? It's thoughts, I think. It's crazy, but who knows? All right, next topic. The next thing we're going to talk about, and this is another popular theory out there, is the multiverse. It is one of the most popular theories that's out right now. The multiverse theory is an idea that our universe is just one of many universes, collectively forming a multiverse. These universes could exist in parallel, independent, or part of a broader structure, depending on the specific interpretation. We're going to look at it from a pretty general standpoint because there's lots of different versions of the multiverse. There's the quantum multiverse. You've probably heard of it as the many worlds interpretation. There's the cosmological multiverse, also known as the bubble universe. And other ones like string theory or the brain multiverse, there's a ton of them. Here's some cool thoughts about it. If the multiverse exists, every possible outcome of every event might be realized in some universe. I think about all the time when I think of like multiple timelines and like every moment we're faced with a decision. Is it just big decisions that break off and maybe create different timelines? Or is it every single moment of every day we'd make a different decision? I might grab a water and take a drink of water, or I might grab a drink of juice and take a drink of juice. That may not seem like all that important of a decision, but if that juice does something different to my body than the water does, that could potentially be some life-changing moment. Every moment, it seems like, theoretically, could branch off and be its own different deal. What if I turn left at the light? What if I turn right at the light? You know, you hear stories all the time of, I sit by my window every single day, and the day I got up and sat on the couch to read the newspaper, a car drove through my window. These are the type of stories like synchronicities and things that you hear all the time where someone just did something different and it's like saved their life or something. Every time I do something stupid, every time I make some kind of terrible mistake, which I do, I always think back later. There's always this time of like, it's almost like a time of mourning where I'm just really regretting and I'm saying, man, think of how different this would be if I would have just made the right decision. Like I lost my wallet once and had a whole bunch of important stuff in it and some money in it and all kind of stuff. And that whole next couple of days, I was just thinking of how different that timeline would have been, my life would have been if I just wouldn't have dropped the wallet. You know, in that moment, did I break off some new timeline? Is there a timeline out there where I didn't lose my wallet and everything went normal? Or is it even bigger than that? Is there just an alternate Joe out there in some other universe that does things different than me? That he doesn't like rap music or he doesn't like country music. He likes jazz. And he is a cat person, or he likes the cold. This could be interpreted so many different ways. The multiverse theory remains speculative, but has gained significant attention in physics, philosophy, and popular culture. It pushes the boundaries of our understanding of existence, challenging traditional notions of reality, and offering profound insights into the mysteries of the cosmos. You know, I'm not really sure how I feel about the multiverse. I'm not sure. It's another one of those things like, it sounds cool. A lot of these things are fun to think about, right? But it's like they're almost all impossible to actually prove. Like I said, we get so used to using our couple senses, and I think that they fool us, and I think that there's things that we don't always catch. And so we just go off what's right in front of us, and what's right in front of us may not show that there is parallel universes or something like that. But that 100% doesn't mean that there isn't parallel universes or multiverses or things of that nature. No, it's very interesting. It's a deep thinking. It's fun to do. Some people like that. Some people hate this. This video might scare the out of somebody. It is what it is. For me, I like thinking about until it's midnight and I can't go to sleep. And I'm like, damn, am I in a simulation or is this a parallel universe? I don't know. It's fun stuff. Next topic. This next one may be controversial to say what I'm about to say about it. This is technically a theory, still, right? This is a wild theory about our existence. It's creation. Growing up in the Bible Belt, a lot of people get used to calling creation like the truth. This is the truth, God's truth. And nothing against that. And not even that I don't believe that. I'm just saying, coming at it from like science, it's a little hard to actually just like prove that or disprove that, kind of like these other ones. Me personally, I'm still kind of leaning towards maybe something created this because there's a lot of logic things that I'm working through. Like, how did we come from nothing? You know, if you dive deep into the evolution route and that route, which most scientists feel like is the route, how did something come from nothing? I kind of get stuck there. Then you get like the chicken and the egg type thing happening. You know what I'm saying? What came first, the chicken or the egg? When I started searching, you know, is creation a theory about existence? AI was like, yes, creation can be considered a theory of existence. It is a framework that seeks to explain how the universe, life, and consciousness came into being. A lot of creationism is tied to religion. A lot of different religions like Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, all speak to creators. Even mythology even speaks to creation, powerful gods making things happen in our reality. I want you to think about how wild creation is too, because I think it gets lumped in with religion. I think it gets lumped in like being from where I'm from. I think we get so used to hearing that the world was created, the world was created, the world was created, that we don't think about how wild that is, because that's just as wild as the other two options that we said earlier. For some people, when they hear that, they're going to be like, what? No. But it's like, think about this. Some type of simulation, a game being created, multiverses. There's tons of different universes, infinite universes. Our universe was created by an omniscient, omnipotent being that is outside of time and space and that didn't have a start, was always here. In fact, he or she created time, and now we live in that creation. It's all a little wild. Even evolution. Evolution is completely wild if you really think about it. Everything in the whole universe was the size of a ball pen, and then it expanded and blew up in an explosion one day for whatever reason. And now we have this random universe that's evolving over millions of years. Everything's by chance and everything's so random. And yet humans rise out of all these different things. And then on Earth, there's so many thousands of variables that have to be just right for life to be a real thing. If you ever look into what all it takes for life to be sustained in this universe, everything is wild. It's all crazy. It all sounds like wild talk, but somehow, some way, we are here. We are on this earth in this specific time. We're here for a little bit and then we pass on. And then don't get me started on what happens next, because we don't know. We don't know how we got here. We don't know what we're doing here half the time. And we don't really know what's next. We have hopes, we have faith, we have religions, we have different beliefs. And some say this about what's next. Some say this is about what's next. You think about near-death experiences and the things that come with that, the experiences people have had on death's door that showed them that maybe there is something after this. And then some people just get close to death and it's just nothing. Is there a purgatory? Is there a hell? Is there another life? Is there reincarnation? People over here, because we're so Christian heavy, like to get on the idea of reincarnation, but I mean, is that really all that wild? It'd just be like respawning in a video game. If we're in a simulation and you die, you might just respawn. The light you're seeing, when people say they see light at the end of a tunnel, what if when you go through that light, that's birth? That's your next life. That's you coming out the womb. We could play what if forever. I think that we do have to accept that there's things we don't know and there's things we don't understand. But there's lots of people with truth claims and there's lots of people that think they've got it figured out and just follow me or follow this. We've got it figured out. And when I look at everything laid out as a whole, it's really tough for me to get to any type of stance that says, you know what? This is 100% right. This is it. This is life. This is existence. This is purpose. This is why we're here. But I don't want you to get discouraged. I think that you have to find your own purpose. I don't discourage faith. I don't discourage belief. I don't discourage any of that. I don't discourage religion. It's helped a lot of people. I do think it is important to find your purpose in life, and however you find it is how you find it. And hopefully you max out your life, because if there is only one life, then I think it's important that you do the most that you can. But I really don't know. And I think it's important to be realistic with yourself sometimes and say, hey, I'm probably on a lot of things don't know. And it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So today we've hit some heavy ones. Like, why are we here? What is our purpose? What is reality? Scientists are still struggling to this day to figure out what consciousness is. Is conscious just how we process reality? Is that it? Is reality just what we can think? Do we have souls? Is there something in us that can't be scientifically proven that separates our body from our soul? And is a soul different than a spirit? There's a million different things, man. Like I said in the beginning, these are all theories, and I don't claim to believe any of these or that any of these are truth. I'm just looking kind of like from the outside at some examples of what could be going on here. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this doesn't send you spiraling into the abyss of nothingness. And man, this has been another episode of Wow I Just Learned. Y'all are the best. Thank you for tapping in. I got more coming soon. I got the Patreon coming soon. I'm going to keep working hard to bring more content to you. And I will be here on this show more than once a week. And I will bring you an interview every single week on this channel. Thank y'all for tapping in. Y'all be blessed.